I don't need friends. Why you might feel this way. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and ring the bell for more videos. There are many reasons why you might say, I don't need friends. You might feel that friendship doesn't offer a lot of value in your life. Or you might feel that you already have plenty of social support from your family, so that you don't need a wide circle of friends or acquaintances. According to one survey, not having friends is more common than you might think. YouGov, a market research and polling firm, found that 22% of millennials say that they have no friends. 1. Whatever your reasons for dismissing friendship, it can be helpful to think about the potential pros and cons of having friends. Social support is important for emotional health, but having a wide circle of friends isn't necessary, as long as you feel like you have the support that you need. This article discusses why you might feel like you don't need friends, statistics on how many people have no friends, and some of the benefits of making friends. It also discusses what you can do if you decide to add some friendships to your life. Reasons you feel like you don't need friends. If you feel like you don't need friends in your life, there are a few different reasons why you might feel this way. Some factors that might contribute to your dismissal of friendship include: you prefer solitude. Some people tend to prefer solitude over being in the company of others, particularly people who tend to be more introverted. You fear disappointment. Like other different types of social connections, friendship comes with expectations and a need for give and take. If you're afraid that you can't live up to these expectations, or you think that others will let you down, you might prefer to avoid getting involved in friendships as a way to minimize the risk of being disappointed or of disappointing other people. You're close to your family. You might also feel like your family members are your friends. If they give you the connection and support you need, you may feel less of a need to seek friendships outside of your family circle. You don't want to get hurt. If you've been deeply hurt by a friend in the past, you might have trust issues. As a result, you might be hesitant to begin new friendships with other people. You're too busy. Building and maintaining friendships takes time and effort. If you are busy with other obligations such as family, work, or school, you might simply feel that you don't have the time or energy to devote to friends. One major reason why people might eschew friendship is that many people turn to their partner or other family members before they turn to their friends. Surveys suggest that people tend to rely on their friends as their primary source of support less frequently than they did in the past. For example, a 1990 Gallup poll found that 26% of adults would turn to a close friend first with a personal problem. In 2021, only 16% of adults said they would talk to a friend before anyone else. 2. Recap. There are many reasons why you might feel like you don't need friends. Preferring solitude, being close to members of your family, and being busy with other things are just a few factors that may play a role. Fear of being disappointed or hurt by friends can also be a contributing factor. How common is it to have no friends? How many people say that they have no friends? While you might feel alone in your solitude, it is actually more common than you think. One survey suggested that 27% of millennials reported having no close friends, while 22% reported having no friends at all. For comparison, only 16% of Gen Zers and 9% of baby boomers reported not having any friends. Another 2021 survey found that 49% of adults reported that they had 3 or few close friends. 2. Other surveys have found similar results. A poll by the Associated Press found that 18% of respondents reported having 1 or fewer people outside of their immediate household that they could ask for help if they needed it. 3. Why do many younger people report having few or no friends? While the exact reasons are not entirely clear, increased social media and internet use might play a major role. 4. Research has found that people who use social media more frequently tend to experience higher levels of depression and loneliness. 5. Surveys also suggest that the COVID-19 pandemic has played a role in changing the state of friendship for many adults in the U.S. Among young women, nearly 60% reported losing touch with a few friends during the pandemic, while 16% reported losing contact with most or all of their friends. Polls also suggest that young men also struggle with social connections. 28% of men under the age of 30 have no close personal connections. 6. While recent challenges have caused some people to lose touch with old friends, surveys have also found that nearly 50% of adults have made at least one new friend in the past year. 2. Recap. Surveys suggest that having few or no friends is not uncommon. Millennials are most likely to report having no friends, and those numbers may be growing as a result of social media, internet use, and world events. Benefits of having friends. Research suggests that having a healthy support system is important for your mental well-being, even if you often think that you don't need them. Even if you often think that you don't need friends, having a social circle to support you can be important for your mental health and well-being. Research has found that having a social support system is associated with less stress and anxiety. Point 7. Having strong friendships can also help to improve your physical health. Friends might increase the chances of you doing daily tasks such as exercise and eating well. Friendship is also linked to less loneliness. Loneliness has been shown to take a serious toll on health and mortality. Studies have found that people who have quality friendships are better able to cope with stress and are even less likely to experience stress in the first place. Point 8. Friends can also offer emotional support when you need it. Friends can help validate your emotions, listen to your problems, and do things to help you feel better. One study found that people who had strong friendships were more resilient, meaning they were better equipped to deal with challenges and bounced back more quickly in the face of life's difficulties. Point 9. Finally, having friends can help you feel as if you belong to something that brings purpose and connection to your life. Recap. It is important to be aware that friendships can be an important part of your social support system. Social support offers a number of benefits, including preventing loneliness, increasing connectedness, and improving physical and mental health. Is it okay to not need friends? So while research suggests that friendship can be important for your well-being, this doesn't mean that you have to be surrounded by other people or have a long list of close friends to be happy or healthy. Whether your lack of friends is detrimental to your well-being really depends on your perspective and how you feel about it. In other words, there's a big difference between thinking I don't need friends and I don't have friends. If you are happy and content without friends, then it probably isn't hurting you. In fact, being on your own can have a number of benefits as well. Solitude and spending time by yourself has been linked to some positive effects such as increased creativity, 10, better concentration and memory 11, improved self-awareness, greater productivity, more time for personal growth. Research has also found that spending time alone can actually be important for improving your existing relationships. In fact, some research has found that among people who are highly intelligent, more time spent with friends actually decreases satisfaction levels. Point 12. So doing things on your own may actually make you more satisfied and happier about the relationships you have with the others in your life. Recap. The effects of not having friends may depend on your perspective. If you are happy and still have social support, you are likely fine with your social situation. If you feel lonely or isolated, however, it may be time to think about expanding your social circle. Why you might feel lonely? Loneliness is the feeling of being alone or lacking company. You don't have to be physically alone in order to feel lonely either. You might feel this way even when you are around other people. It is a natural emotion that's practically inevitable at some point throughout your life. So if you find yourself feeling lonely, even if you feel like you don't need friends, there are ways that you can cope with such difficult emotions. Understand why you feel lonely. If you feel lonely because you feel disconnected from others, there are ways to reach out to other people, even if you aren't seeking friendships. Spend time in social settings and talk to other people you encounter throughout your day. Keep yourself busy, and don't allow yourself to dwell on your loneliness for extended periods of time. Find something productive or entertaining to do. Stop making comparisons. Don't compare your life to those of people around you. Even if you have few or no friends, it doesn't mean that your life is less fulfilling or less valuable. Instead of envying what other people have, celebrate what makes your life special. Focus on your feelings of gratitude for the things you have and love. If you decide to seek out friends, while it might feel like you don't need friends to be happy, it is important to have people you can trust and can turn to when you need support. People are social creatures and tend to thrive when they have high-quality connections with other people. If you are interested in expanding your social circle and making a few friends, there are things that you can do to meet people you share things in common with. Volunteer for something, find an organization or cause that you care about. Spending time working on something that is important to you is a great way to meet like-minded people who share your interests and passions. Explore a new hobby. One of the best ways to meet new people is to simply pursue the things that you enjoy. Sign up for a community class devoted to something you want to learn more about, whether it's cooking, painting, or computer coding. Joining a hiking group, joining a sports team, or attending a book club at your local library are just a few ideas that can help you build new connections with people who may become great friends. Find friends at work. The workplace is where 54% of adults report meeting their closest friends. Shared time and experiences often serve as the basis for strong friendships. Remember that making friends as an adult is often much more difficult than it was when you were a child. It may take time, effort, and being willing to put yourself out there. And once you make connections with people, it is important to continue to nurture and maintain those interpersonal relationships. A word from Very Well. While friendship can have benefits, you might feel like you don't need friends. The effect it has on your life and health depends largely on how you feel about the situation. If you are isolated and long for social connections, your loneliness will likely have a negative impact on your well-being. Everyone needs some social contact and people who they can turn to for support. You might get this from your partner or from members of your family, which means that you might feel less of a need to seek out friends. This is often fine, but be sure to check in with yourself periodically to see if you might need to reevaluate your needs. It is also important to make sure that you aren't placing an undue burden on one or two people in your life who might not be able to meet your social needs all on their own. Having people to lean on, whether they are friends, family, co-workers, or other social connections, can play a part in supporting your emotional health. Ask a therapist, how do I make friends as an adult? In the Ask a Therapist series, I'll be answering your questions about all things mental health and psychology. Whether you are struggling with a mental health condition, coping with anxiety about a life situation, or simply looking for a therapist's insight, submit a question. Look out for my answers to your questions every other Friday in the Healthy Mind newsletter. Our reader asks, since I started working remotely, I have been really lonely. My coworkers were the only people I really talked to, but now I only see them in the occasional Zoom meeting. How do I make friends as an adult? Aaron, 29. Amy's answer. As strange as it sounds, no, you're not alone in your loneliness. Many people are feeling lonely these days. However, it's important to address this feeling as loneliness can take a serious toll on your health and well-being. Fortunately, there are some things you can do to ease your loneliness, and making new friends is a great strategy. The struggle to make friends. It was easier to make friends when you were in school. After all, you were surrounded by your peers all day and had plenty of opportunities to interact. And it wasn't all that hard to ask a fellow third grader if they wanted to play with you at recess. You had the time, the tools, and opportunities to have fun together, which is an easy way to establish natural friendships. But, as an adult, you have to put in a lot more effort to find people to spend time with. And you might not have a lot in common with the people you encounter. Or, they might be in a different stage of life, which may make friendships a little more difficult. You might need to be a little more strategic about making friends these days. 10 things you can do right now if you're feeling lonely. Reach into your existing network. When it comes to making friends, you might not necessarily need to start from scratch. There may be some people in your existing network that can go from acquaintance to friend fairly easily. Would you like to talk to some of your coworkers outside of regular Zoom meetings? If there is someone that you could imagine being friends with, you might reach out to them. Let them know you're feeling a little disconnected from the world now that you're working remotely, and you'd love to see them face to face. Perhaps you could invite them for coffee. You might find that your coworkers are feeling lonely as well, and they may appreciate some human interaction. Press play for advice on coping with loneliness. Hosted by Editor-in-Chief and Therapist Amy Morin, LCSW, this episode of the Very Well Mind podcast offers tips for managing loneliness. Follow now, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, RSS. Of course, meeting up with coworkers outside the office does have a few risks. Depending on your line of work, it's also possible that friendships with your coworkers might cause some sticky situations. What if you have to evaluate your friend's performance? Or what if your coworker tells you they've been drinking on the job? Being friends with your coworkers can lead to some sticky situations. But that doesn't mean it's a bad idea. After all, your colleagues are the only ones who really understand what you go through daily. Sometimes, it's also tough to cross over from colleague to real friend. You might find your coworkers want to stick to talking about work only, which is their choice. But it's a clear sign that they want to have a professional relationship only, not a real friendship. In addition to becoming friends with coworkers, you might also tap into your existing network by reaching out to an old friend or two. Perhaps you've lost contact with your college roommate, or you've drifted apart from a neighbor you used to talk to often. Send a text message or contact them on social media to say hello. You may be able to strike up a conversation that inspires you to start talking more often again. Sometimes it's easier to rekindle an old friendship rather than start a new one. Get out and get involved. Get out of the house and get involved in some activities that will allow you to meet people in your community. You might join an organization, volunteer, attend religious services, or take a class. You might look for websites that create meetup opportunities for people with similar interests. Whether you enjoy playing board games or you want to join a book club, there are usually plenty of groups out there. You might even do some fun things on your own. Go hiking, visit a museum, or explore a different part of your city. You might find getting out helps you feel better, and you never know who you might run into along the way. Just don't act desperate. Sometimes, people who want to make friends become a little too aggressive in social situations. Consequently, their attempts to attract friends wind up repelling people. So make sure you don't come across as desperate. Telling someone how lonely and isolated you feel within 2 minutes of saying hello might send them running in the other direction. Beware of the tendency to try and form an immediate bond with someone. Don't force it. Don't act like someone you're not either. If you don't like sushi, say so. And if you don't love the beach, don't go to the beach just to make someone happy. The goal is to create lasting friendships. And even though making new friends can feel a little more complicated as an adult, the simple advice you likely heard as a kid can still apply. The best way to make a friend is to be a friend. So, smile at people, treat them with kindness and be generous.